So I welcome you all in today's lecture. There was some technical hiccup, so we were not able to, continue with the earlier part. So here I am again in front of you. Uh, as I told you that we have already discussed the history of drama. Then we had a discussion on the biography of the writer, the dramatist, the playwright, George Bernard Shaw. And then we discussed the outline story of the drama, and then we had a detailed discussion on the setting of the drama as well, right? Then we discussed the title of the drama, the other minor and major characters of this drama, Arms and the Man. And today the topic is in front of you, Arms and the Man themes. So we are going to discuss the themes of Arms and the Man. Though we have just 2 or 3 slides today, but today's topic is very important as far as examination is concerned. From examination point of view, these questions are usually asked. I mean, maybe you will be asked to discuss one of the themes and the theme will be mentioned there in your question paper, or you will be straightway asked throw light on the different themes in of this George Bernard Shaw's Arms and the Man, right? So the topic is themes in or themes of the drama Arms and the Man. Straightway we will come to the theme, the themes rather, because there are multiple themes in the drama. The first theme which you can see on your screens is the futility of war. Futility means uselessness, something which is futile. So George Bernard Shaw says that war is a futile exercise. He believes, he is totally against the war. You know, George Bernard Shaw he's also called as an iconoclastic writer, dramatist, because he always goes against the wind, against the wave, right? So most of the people, you know, when there is some problem, I mean, if there is a problem between two countries, most of the people, the majority of the people, they favor war. But Shaw is against war. He says that war is a futile exercise, and he believes, like all of us should believe, that war cannot bring peace, right? So the first important theme of the Arms and the Man is uh, the futility of war, right? I can quote some instances from the text from where I can prove that Shaw believes that the war is a futile exercise. Like the war, we have already discussed it in the setting of the drama, that Slitnitze, the Battle of Slitnitze is being fought in the drama, and we see that that character Bluntschli, he comes in a very bad condition to Raina's room. And although Raina and her mother Catherine, they had a very idealistic notion about war, because they believe that Sergei Serenov, who is Raina's fiance, he is the hero of the war, and he is the one who has won the victory, who is the victorious officer from Bulgaria. But later on, but before that, even before that, Bluntschli gives a detailed description about the futility of war to Raina. He tells her that uh, he had the experience of 15 years of war, and he believes that this war is a futile exercise. And he talks about a soldier, one of his friends, who was, hit on his hip, and later on he was burnt alive. So these are the very, I mean, the tyrant aspect of this war is that people are killed, people are maimed, thousands and millions of people get displaced. We have an example of our Indian independence. Thousands and thousands of people were killed, and then in 1947, hundreds and thousands and millions of people, rather, they were displaced. People migrated from one place to another, and this is actually the futility of war. And later on in the drama, when first Sergius appears in front of us as if he is the one who has led Bulgaria to victory, but later on we come to know that it is because Serbs, they ran out of ammunition, right? and because of that issue they have lost the war. It is not Bulgaria, it is not it is not bravery on the part of the Bulgarians in general and Sergius in particular that they have won the war. And we come to know through Bluntschli, Reinhard actually comes to know through Bluntschli that Sergius is a dishonest officer and he is not brave, right? Even Catherine has this notion of, you know, this she glorifies war, right? And as far as Major Paul Petkov, Reinhardt's father and Catherine's husband, is concerned, he has the title Major. But we come to know in the story, actually Shah makes fun of these titles, and he says that Major, the title Major was not given to him because of his bravery, but because of his being from a rich family, because of his being from a noble family, right? In the later part, Shah laughs on the concept of nobility and richness as well. We will discuss that in another slide. Or he says that he might have got this major title because of his would-be son-in-law, Sergius Saranov. So, in short, Shah discusses the futility of war. He wants us to believe that war cannot bring peace, that war only ends in death and destruction, right? So this is one of the major themes. The other theme which you can see on your screens is the idealization of romantic love. The idealization of romantic love is, like, we see that Raina and Sergius, we feel in the beginning that they are in love, and they have an idealized concept of love. They have that, you know, they live in an illusionary world, and both of them believe that, you know, that they, you know, like we say that they built castles in the air, and they believe that once they will get married and then they will have a very happy life. But with the passage of time, all these notions get shattered. You know, the balloon gets punctured, and that happens because of Bluntschli. Bluntschli comes as a kind of he brings knowledge to Raina. He is the one who actually punctures this balloon of romantic love, of ideal love, of this concept, of this hypocrisy. And he makes Raina realize that she is not in love with Sergius. She is not in love with Sergius. And later on, Raina realizes and confesses in front of everyone that she is not in love with Sergius. She is in love with Bluntschli. And that is quite practical. That's the practical side of love, because we come to know that they will marry towards the end of the drama, right? And then another aspect of this idealization of love is where we come to know that Sergius is, on one hand, he is engaged to Raina, and on the other hand, behind the curtain, he romances with Lauka, the maid of Petkov family, right? The third important theme is middle class morality or class discrimination. Although these are two different aspects, but I have, you know, I will discuss them together. What is middle class hypocrisy? What is middle class hypocrisy? Shah believes that the middle class people are not people like you and me. I mean, we are from lower middle class backgrounds, or I can say we are from poor backgrounds, all of us. Though you can say that a professor cannot be from a poor, he cannot be considered as a poor person, but then at least not as a middle class person. Lower middle class, I think, is fine, right? So Shah believes that there is a lot of hypocrisy in middle class people. He believes that they have two faces. One face is which they present in front of the world, and the other face is which is, you know, behind the mask. Right? पर्दे के पीछे एक दूसरा चेहरा होता है middle class लोगों का. This is what Shah believes. I may disagree with him, you may disagree with him, but this is what he believes, and he gives us examples as well. You know, in the very beginning, he describes Raina's bedroom in a way. On one hand, he describes the beauty of the room, and on the other hand, he makes fun of, you know, their pretensions, their affectations, their show off, right? And then there are so many instances in the drama where we come to know that this Catherine, Raina, Petkov, they are very, you know, they have the superiority complex that they belong to a very noble family. They belong to a very, you know, they are from rich class. Middle class people have this tendency that they believe that they are very rich and very sophisticated people, and the people who are really rich, they don't give a damn to this feeling, most of them, right? One more instance is there. Petkoffs have uh, we will see that they show off their nobility, and they talk about their library, that their library is quite big, and then there is a garden in front of their house. And even towards the end of the drama, when Bluntschli, when everything gets settled, the Petkoff family, Catherine and Paul Petkoff, they do not agree to Bluntschli's proposal, because he proposes their daughter and he asks for her hand. He wants to marry her, but they refuse because they feel that Bluntschli is not from a middle class society. He is from a poor background, right? And then when Bluntschli tells them that he is from a good family, a well-off family, only then they agrees to the proposal. So this is again middle class morality. These all tendencies are there in all of us. I am not able to explain this here because of the level of the lecture, because you're UG students. Otherwise, there is a lot to say on this particular theme. And there is class discrimination as well. They don't treat Petkoff family, they don't treat their maid and servant well. They give them a kind of feeling, there is, although things are not very they are not there in black and white, but we get the message that they believe that Loka and this Nicola, they are inferior people, right? So class discrimination is there. The next theme is flirts and intrigues among the rich. So this is very clear. You can see it in your drama, that on one hand, Sergius shows his love to Raina. He is formally engaged to her. We come to know that later on, we come to know when Sergius in Act Second, when Sergius comes to Petkoff family after winning the so-called war, he comes there and he declares her love to Raina. And when Raina goes inside the house to bring something, to bring her hat actually, he flirts with Loka as well. Just imagine a person who is an army officer, who is engaged to a so-called noble girl, somebody who is from a rich background. He flirts with a maid. Just imagine the level of morality, right? This is what flirting is, right? And Shah wants to tell us that these things are quite common among the rich people, though we cannot generalize it. Again, I say that I may disagree with it, you may disagree with it, that this is what the message is being given. This is the message being given in the drama. Intrigues, lots of intrigues are there in the drama. Again, this intrigue that Sergius is in a relationship with Loka, and on the other hand, he is formally engaged to Raina. Nicola wants to marry Loka, but Loka is in a secret relationship with Sergius, right? Raina is formally engaged to Sergius, but she is in love with Bluntschli. So there are a lot of comic intrigues in the drama as well, right? The last and one of the important themes is realism versus romanticism. This realism can be discussed, through two examples. One is of war, the real concept of war, which we have already discussed, the practical aspect of war, the tyrant and the cruel aspect of war, which is that people get killed, injured. When a soldier gets killed in a war, what do we people do? Rest in peace. This is what we say, right? And then after 2 to 3 years, who remembers those individuals who sacrificed their country, their lives for their country? Do we remember in true sense the people who have given sacrifices for the freedom of this country from British? Do we really remember the sacrifices? ऐसे ही थोड़ी वो लता मंगेशकर कहती है वो ए मेरे वतन के लोगों, जो भी है, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा है इसको, जरा आंख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी। शहीद होने का, उनको याद करने का मतलब इज नॉट जस्ट पुटिंग द garlands ऑन देयर पिक्चर्स. हाउ ऑनेस्ट आर वी टू आवर वर्क? How much do we love our country? How patriotic or nationalistic in true sense we are? Are we really patriotic, or just is it the show of patriotism and nationalism? Right? So realism is what the war actually is, and romanticism is ideal concept of war. You know, sitting in your cozy bedrooms, sitting under an AC and watching a big television in front of you, and then saying, yes, we will kill them, we will do this, we will do that. And the poor soldiers, they are fighting for us on the borders of the country. Right? So this is realism versus romanticism through the example of war. Again, this realism and romanticism can be explained through the example of love in the drama. The love between a romantic love, a love, an illusionary love, a notion which is there between Raina and Sergius, and later on the realism which happens between Raina and Bluntschli, the real love. Right? Ignorance and knowledge is again the same thing. Ignorance is, Raina is ignorant. She does not know the real meaning of war. She does not know the real meaning of love. But Bluntschli gives her the knowledge of real war. He gives her the knowledge of real love. Understand? So these are some of the themes of the drama. Actually, I wanted a detailed discussion on the themes of the drama, but as I said, that a detailed discussion is out of the scope of this lecture, because you are UG students, and I hope I have given you, and this lecture is not complete in itself, because it is a kind of discussion for you people where I give you some hints so that you can study further, and then um, get more ideas as far as different themes like the futility of war, the idealization of romantic love, middle class hypocrisy and class discrimination, flirts and intrigues among the rich people, realism versus romanticism, and ignorance versus knowledge. These themes are concerned. I hope that it was a useful lecture. Uh, this is a quote actually by J.B. Shaw. Just to end the lecture, it is very important, you should read it. The things most people want to know about are usually none of their business. Most of the times, we people want to know those things which are not our business, which we are not supposed to know. But then we don't mind our own businesses. So this is again a quote by G.B. Shaw. So thank you. This was today's lecture. I hope that it was useful. If you have any questions, anything you want to ask, you are most welcome. Thank you.